Okay, as promised, we're back for round 2 here. We're starting with problem 5 on page 3. See if we can get through a couple more pages in the next 15 minutes or so. So we're graphing y is greater than or equal to 3x minus 1. So the intercept is here at minus 1. Slope 1, 2, 3. A rise of 3 and a run of 1. This is a dotted line, so I want to make a bunch of points so I can get a somewhat accurate dotted line. You guys should be using rulers. Not as easy. I can't really put a ruler on my computer. Well, I certainly can, but it won't help me draw this, what does not appear to be a line. That clearly is straight. If it doesn't appear straight, you might want to check your eyes. That is 100% accurate. And over here we have y is less than or equal to 8 minus 4x. Greater than or equal to, that means it's solid line, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is right here. Drop 4, run 1, drop 4, run 1. This is a solid line, so I'm going to use my line tool over here. There it is. See if I can nail that there. And sure enough, good enough. And now we're looking for the location. It satisfies both inequalities. Well, this first line is greater than, so that's above the dotted line. This is less than, so that's below this line. So the overlapping area is down here. You can certainly pick and choose any points in what appears to be a large portion of the second and third quadrants, as well as the origin appears to be involved too. So solution 0, 0. Let's go with 5. Oops, sorry, negative 5, 5. And this will be exciting. Negative 5, negative 5. All right, page 3 is complete. Let's move on to page 4, which is factoring. Factor completely. So it looks like 6y is coming out of there. We're left with 3y squared plus 4y minus 2. All right, well, it is possible this could be factored yet, right? So we're going to look at that also. 3y and y makes up to 3y squared. And a 2 here gives us 6, and a 1. 6 and 1 does not give us 4. A 2 and a 1 gives us 3 and a 2, so we cannot factor any further. We are done at the first stage of factoring. But we need to check to make sure that quadratic was not factorable. Alright, over here, oh, this looks like a grouping one. If you notice, this first group has x squared in common. So I can take out a 3x, or have a 3x plus 1 remaining. This second group has a 4 in common, and look what's left, 3x plus 1. So, grouping is nothing more than factoring twice. If we notice now, each group has a 3x plus 1 in common, so I'm going to take out 3x plus 1. Well, what's left is an x squared and a plus 4. So there we go. That's pretty cool factoring there. And of course, x squared plus 4 is not factorable. X squared minus 4, of course, would be. So this one, we're looking at a 3x and an x. 4 has a couple options. We could have a 4 and a 1 or a 2 and a 2. Well, let's think about this. If I do a 2 and a 2, I get 6 and 2, which makes 8. No good. If I do a 4 and a 1, I get 3 and 4, which makes 7. So we got our middle term. 3x plus 4 and x plus 1. Alright, so this is quadratic form. So it's no different than a quadratic, with the exception of, instead of doing t times t for t squared, I'm doing t squared times t squared for t to the 4th. And here we have a 20 and a 2 that makes 40 and also sums to 22. 2 negatives multiply to a positive and 2 negatives add to a negative. These are not difference as perfect squares, so they do not factor any further. T squared minus 20 and t squared minus 2. Here it looks like 16 goes into each, so that gives me 4x to the 8th minus y to the 4th. 16, and now this is a difference of perfect squares. I can do 2x to the fourth plus y squared and 2x to the fourth minus y squared. Remember, when we are multiplying like exponents, we add those exponents. Alright, so these x to the fourth times x to the fourth becomes x to the 4 plus 4x to the 8th. Alright, now over here, almost difference of squares. If that 2 is not there, we certainly could do x squared minus y and x squared plus y, but the 2 is there, so we leave roots out of factoring. So our final answer here is 16 times 2x to the fourth plus y squared times 2x to the fourth minus y squared. Trying to get this font smaller yet, it's still a little, there we go. A little bit too thick for my liking. Here it looks like we can take a 6 out and there won't be anything left to do after that. So we have 6, and now we have x cubed plus 8. And did I speak too soon? That looks like it might be a sum of cubes. So let's take a step back here. Sum of cubes, the cubed root of 8 is 2, so we have x plus 2. And then here we have x squared. Of course, at the end I need a 4 to make an 8. And in the middle, I have a 2x squared to get rid of, so I need a negative 2x squared. Oops, sorry, negative 2x. We already have the squared will come over here. So we can take that a step further and end up with x plus 2 and x squared minus 2x plus 4. Alright, this one looks like we may have another grouping situation here. It may or may not be in order. If we look, numbers jive right here with the 6 and the 21, so let's go with that right now. Our other option, of course, that bell is long. Our other option here, we have x squared y's. So, second thought, I'm just going to try to factor this as is. No, I'm going to group this. Sorry, I'm going to group. So the first term I'm going to take a 3x squared out of. And I'm left with 2y minus 7. And that was the right choice because here when I take a 2 out of here, right, it's really negative, I end up with 2y minus 7. Okay, so that's negative 4y and plus 14. Notice 2y minus 7s are in common, so 2y minus 7 comes out, and I'm left with 3x squared minus 2. So 2y minus 7 and 3x squared minus 2. That's it for page 4. Let's see what page 5 holds for us. More factoring. So certainly an x squared comes out. Let's see as far as the numbers go. Looks like 4 is going to be the biggest. So I end up with 7x squared plus 4x minus 20. Now we've got to see if that quadratic is factorable. Only option for 7x squared is a 7 and a 1. 20, we got quite a few options here. Looks like 10 and 2 is going to be the winner though, right? Because that gives me a 10 and a 14. So if I do a positive 14 and a negative 10, it gives me a positive 4. So 4x squared, 7x minus 10, and x plus 2. Let's take out an x squared. We're left with x to the 4th minus 4. That gives us a difference of squares, which would be x squared minus 2 and x squared plus 2. So x squared minus 2, and x squared plus 2. This next one is another difference of cubes. So cubed root of 125 is 5. So that gives us x squared. In the end, I need a plus 25 to make my 125. And I have a 5x squared to get rid of, so I need to do a plus 5x in the middle. Alright, and there's our x cubed, minus 5x squared, plus 5x squared, minus 25x, plus 25x, and minus 125. We got a winner. X minus 5, x squared, plus 5x, plus 25. And this will be a little shorter than 15 minutes. We'll call it a day right there. We'll continue with part 4 in the next video. That is all for factoring.